The deep void between the Orion and Perseus arms held secrets older than humanity itself. Lieutenant Sarah Chen knew this as she stood at the helm of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space research vessel. The year was 2189, and humanity had just begun to stretch its fingers into the vast darkness between the stars. Another anomaly, Lieutenant, reported Dr. Marcus Way from his station, his dark eyes fixed on the quantum scanner readings. That's the third one this week. Sarah nodded, her hand unconsciously touching the silver pendant at her neck, a family heirloom that had traveled with her from Earth. The Horizon had been tracking these strange energy signatures for months now, each one leading them further from known space. Some of the crew whispered that they were chasing ghosts, but Sarah knew better. These weren't random fluctuations. They formed a pattern. "Display it," she ordered, and the main view screen filled with a cascade of data. The energy signature pulsed with an almost biological rhythm, something their scientists still couldn't explain. It wasn't like anything in their database of known phenomena, natural or artificial. "Lieutenant," Marcus called out, his voice tight with sudden urgency. "The signature, it's changing. These readings, they're impossible." Before Sarah could respond, space itself seemed to shiver. A point of light appeared directly ahead of the horizon, expanding rapidly into a swirling vortex of blue-white energy. The ship's sensors screamed warnings as gravitational forces beyond their charts pulled at the hull. "All stations, battle positions," Sarah commanded, years of training kicking in. "Engineering, full power to structural integrity fields." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. But this was no drill. Through the view screen, Sarah watched as something emerged from the vortex, something that by all rights shouldn't exist. It was a ship, but unlike anything humanity had ever built or encountered in their limited explorations. The vessel was massive, easily dwarfing the horizon. Its hull seemed to be made of crystalline materials that shifted colors like oil on water, patterns flowing across its surface in hypnotic waves. But what caught Sarah's attention were the markings along its side. They were human. Not just human, but in English, Chinese, and what appeared to be dozens of other Earth languages. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Yuki Tanaka, her fingers dancing across her console. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, in perfect standard." The voice that filled the bridge was deep and resonant, carrying an authority that seemed to transcend mere sound. "UES Horizon. This is the temporal vessel nexus. We've been waiting a very long time for this moment." Sarah exchanged glances with her bridge crew. First contact protocols were clear, but nothing in their training had prepared them for this. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Chen of the UES Horizon. Identify yourself and explain your presence in this sector." "We are human, Lieutenant. Just, not from your time. We come from a future where humanity has achieved things your generation can barely imagine. And we're here because we need your help to ensure that future comes to pass." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah studied the impossible ship through the view screen, her tactical training warring with her scientific curiosity. "If you're from our future, you know contact like this risks temporal contamination. Why take that risk?" "Because the alternative is extinction," the voice replied gravely. "Not just for humanity, but for all sentient life in the galaxy. We've broken every temporal law to be here, Lieutenant Chen, because in approximately 72 hours, your ship will make a discovery. In our timeline, that discovery leads to a chain of events that ends with the death of everything we know. We're here to prevent that." The Nexus's hull rippled, and new data began flooding the Horizon's computers. Star charts, technical specifications, and historical records, all showing a future that seemed more like science fiction than possibility. But among the data were images that chilled Sarah to her core. Entire solar systems reduced to ash, planets shattered, and something vast and dark moving between the stars. The Horizon wasn't just exploring random anomalies. The voice continued. "You've been following breadcrumbs we left through time. quantum markers that would lead you to us. Because of all the ships, all the crews in human history, yours is the one that can help us change everything. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They had trained to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. But this was beyond anything they had imagined. Why us? She asked, though part of her already knew the answer. Because, Lieutenant Chen, in our timeline, you and your crew make a choice that seems small at the time, but ripples through history like a stone thrown into still water. We're here to help you make a different choice. The main view screen shifted, showing a stellar phenomenon unlike anything in their records. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, a tear in space-time itself, leaking energy that defied their sensors' ability to measure. In 72 hours, you will find this anomaly, the voice explained. In our timeline, you report it to Earth Command. They send it to the newly formed Galactic Council, hoping to prove humanity's worth as a spacefaring species. The Council, in their arrogance, attempt to harness its power. They fail. And in failing, they wake something that should have remained sleeping. New images appeared, creatures of living darkness, moving between the stars like a plague, consuming everything in their path. Sarah watched in horror as world after world fell to these entities, until even time itself began to unravel. We need you, Lieutenant Chen. Not just your ship or your crew, but you specifically. Because in you burns something unique, a combination of intuition, courage, and compassion that our sensors can detect across time itself. You're a nexus point, a fulcrum upon which the future can turn. Sarah felt the weight of history, both past and future, pressing down on her shoulders. What do you need us to do? Join us, the voice said simply. Let us teach you what humanity becomes, show you the power that already sleeps in your genes. Help us prevent a war that ends all wars by ensuring it never begins. The Nexus's hull shifted again, revealing what looked like a docking port perfectly sized for the horizon. Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the questions in their eyes. Everything they had trained for, every protocol and regulation, said this was impossible, dangerous, wrong. But sometimes, Sarah knew, the right choice meant breaking all the rules. Helm, she commanded, her voice steady. Take us in. As the horizon moved toward the Nexus, Sarah couldn't help but smile. They had set out to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Instead, they were about to learn what humanity itself could become. The future was changing, and they would be the ones to change it. The interior of the temporal vessel Nexus defied everything Sarah Chen thought she knew about spacecraft design. As she and her selected crew members walked through its crystalline corridors, the walls themselves seemed to breathe, shifting with patterns of light that responded to their presence. Dr. Marcus Way ran his scanner continuously, his eyes wide with wonder at readings that shouldn't have been possible. The entire ship is a single living organism, he explained, his voice barely containing his excitement. The crystalline structure isn't just the hull. It's a neural network more complex than anything we've ever encountered. It's thinking. More than thinking, came a new voice, and Sarah turned to see a figure approaching them. The woman who walked toward them looked human, but there was something about her movements that seemed slightly off, as if she was operating on a different wavelength than normal space-time. The Nexus doesn't just think, it remembers. It remembers futures that haven't happened yet, and pasts that never were. Commander Diana Wells, the woman introduced herself, extending a hand. Though in your timeline, I won't be born for another century or so. She smiled at their stunned expressions. Yes, I'm human. Though perhaps not quite the same kind of human you are. Evolution doesn't stop just because we reach the stars. Sarah shook the offered hand, noting how it felt both warm and oddly electric. You said we have 72 hours. What exactly are we preventing? Diana's expression grew serious. Follow me. Some things need to be seen to be believed. They were led to what appeared to be a vast spherical chamber at the heart of the nexus. The walls were covered in shifting images, star maps, historical events, possible futures all playing out simultaneously. At the center of the room was a holographic display unlike anything Sarah had ever seen, showing what appeared to be the entire Milky Way galaxy in perfect real-time detail. In our timeline, Diana began, humanity's first contact with advanced alien civilizations goes poorly. Not because of aggression or malice, but because of fear. Fear of what we might become. The hologram zoomed in on a particular region of space, showing a massive structure that seemed to fold in on itself in impossible ways. This is the Crucible. The most advanced alien races in the galaxy built it millennia ago to contain something they found between the stars. Something that scared them so badly, they were willing to break every law of physics to keep it locked away. The hologram shifted, showing creatures that seemed to be made of living darkness, moving between the stars like a plague. We called them the Void Hunters. They're not alive in any way we understand life. They're more like gaps in reality itself. The aliens found one sleeping and built the Crucible around it, thinking they could study it, maybe even control it. They were wrong. Sarah watched as the hologram played out a terrible future, the Void Hunters awakening, consuming entire solar systems, breaking down the very fabric of space-time as they fed. In our timeline, humanity's discovery of the quantum anomaly you've been tracking leads the Galactic Council to panic. They try to use the Crucible's power against us, to ensure we never become a threat. Instead, they wake the Hunters. But why would they fear us so much? Marcus asked, his scanner forgotten in his hand as he watched the devastation unfold. Diana smiled, but there was sadness in it. Because of what we become, what we're capable of. She gestured, and new images appeared. Humans wielding technologies that looked like magic, reshaping planets, walking through time itself. In every timeline where humanity survives long enough, we evolve into something new, something that transcends the limitations of flesh and time. The Council saw this potential in us and reacted with fear rather than hope. And now you want us to help prevent all of this? Sarah asked, studying the images of humanity's possible future. By changing our response to finding the anomaly. Not prevent, Diana corrected. Transform. The Void Hunters are already stirring. The Council's containment is failing regardless of what happens with humanity. But you, Sarah Chen, and your crew, you have the potential to change how everything unfolds. She waved her hand again, and the hologram showed new images, the UES horizon modified with technology from the Nexus, its hull gleaming with the same crystalline patterns. We can give you the tools, the knowledge, the power to approach the Council not as supplicants, but as equals, to show them that humanity's evolution isn't something to be feared, but embraced. There's more you're not telling us, Sarah said, studying Diana's face. What's the price of this knowledge? Diana's expression grew solemn. Once we begin this process, there's no going back. The changes we make to your ship, to your crew, they'll be permanent. You'll be the first of a new kind of human, neither fully what you are now nor what we become in my time. You'll be the bridge between present and future, and that's a heavy burden to bear. Sarah looked at her crew members, seeing the mix of fear and excitement in their eyes. And if we refuse, then we'll find another way, Diana said simply. We're not here to force anything on you, but we chose this moment, this crew, for a reason. In every simulation we've run, every possible future we've explored, the choices you make in the next 3 days ripple through time in ways that could save or doom entire civilizations. The chamber fell silent as Sarah and her crew absorbed the magnitude of what they were being offered. The hologram continued to show possible futures, some bright with hope, others dark with extinction. Finally, Sarah stepped forward. "Show us," she said firmly. "Show us everything. If we're going to change the future, we need to understand exactly what we're changing it into." Diana nodded, and the chamber's lights shifted, forming new patterns that seemed to reach into their minds directly. Remember, she warned, once you see the truth about humanity's potential, about what sleeps in your own genes, you can never unsee it. Are you ready? Sarah looked at her crew one last time, saw the determination in their faces, and nodded. We're ready. The knowledge began to flow, and with it, the first steps toward humanity's transformation had begun. In the depths of space, aboard a ship that shouldn't exist, the future itself held its breath, waiting to see what they would become. The transformation began with light. Sarah Chen watched in amazement as crystalline patterns spread across the horizon's hull, the future tech from the Nexus merging with their ship's systems in ways that defied conventional physics. The process had been ongoing for the past 24 hours, and with each passing moment, she could feel the changes in herself and her crew growing stronger. Neural integration at 70%. Marcus reported from his station, his voice carrying a new resonance that hadn't been there before. The crystalline implants they'd all received were barely visible beneath their skin, but their effects were profound. Sarah could feel the ship now, not just through its instruments, but as an extension of her own consciousness. The Council's response fleet will arrive in approximately 6 hours, Diana announced, her form shifting slightly as she moved through the upgraded bridge. They detected the temporal disturbance when we arrived. They're coming to investigate, and they're not going to like what they find. Sarah nodded, feeling the horizon's new systems responding to her thoughts. The view screen showed the approaching fleet, 15 vessels of various alien designs, all of them more advanced than anything humanity had previously encountered. Under normal circumstances, such a force would have overwhelmed them instantly. But these were no longer normal circumstances. Show me what we can do, Sarah commanded, and the ship's new systems responded instantly. Holographic displays materialized around the bridge, showing capabilities that seemed more like magic than technology. The crystalline structures that now lined the walls pulsed with energy, resonating with the crew's enhanced consciousness. The Council fears what humanity might become, Diana said, watching as Sarah and her crew adapted to their new powers with remarkable speed. But they never understood why we evolved so quickly, so dramatically. They don't understand that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our potential for physical evolution. It's our adaptability, our ability to face the impossible and find a way forward. The horizon's sensors detected the first warnings from the Council fleet. Demands for identification, for surrender, for explanation. Sarah stood from her command chair, feeling the ship's systems amplifying her presence. Open a channel to all Council vessels. The alien ships appeared on multiple holographic screens, their commanders representing a dozen different species. Some looked almost human, others were utterly alien, but all carried the same expression of shock as they saw humans operating technology that shouldn't exist for centuries. This is Lieutenant Sarah Chen of the UES Horizon, she announced, her voice carrying new authority. We know about the Crucible. We know about the Void Hunters. And we know what your fear of humanity's potential will lead to if we don't stop it now. The alien commanders erupted in a chorus of denials and threats, but Sarah could see the truth in their reactions. The crystalline technology enhanced her perception, letting her read subtle changes in their body language, their energy signatures, their very thoughts. We're not here to fight, she continued. We're here to prevent a war that will destroy everything. The Void Hunters are stirring, and your containment is failing. You need us as much as we need you. Impossible, declared the lead alien commander, a tall, ethereal being of shifting light patterns. Your species is barely out of its cradle. You cannot comprehend the forces you're dealing with. Sarah smiled, and with a thought, activated the Horizon's new capabilities. The crystalline hull began to resonate, sending waves of quantum energy through space that the Council ships could clearly detect. Their sensors would be telling them exactly what the Horizon had become, a bridge between present and future, a demonstration of humanity's true potential. Look at your readings, she said calmly. Your worst fears about humanity's evolution. They're true, but not in the way you think. We don't evolve to conquer or destroy. We evolve because the universe needs us to. The holographic displays shifted, showing the approaching quantum anomaly, the one that would lead to the crucible in the original timeline. But now, with their enhanced perceptions, Sarah and her crew could see what it truly was. A warning, a message left by something even older than the Void Hunters. The Hunters aren't just a threat to our galaxy, Diana explained to the Council commanders. They're a threat to all reality, in all timelines. The beings who came before you, the ones who built the structures you found and tried to understand. They weren't trying to contain the Hunters. They were trying to create something that could fight them. The crystalline systems pulsed again, and new data flowed to the Council ships, proof that couldn't be denied or dismissed. The genetic markers in human DNA that seemed random weren't random at all. They were carefully placed triggers, seeds planted by ancient guardians who knew that eventually a species would evolve with the potential to become what the universe needed. You built the crucible because you didn't understand, Sarah said, her voice carrying the weight of centuries yet to come. You tried to contain power that was meant to be shaped, directed, used. The Hunters are waking up because the universe knows it's time. Time for the defenders to rise. The Council commanders were silent now, their own sensors confirming everything the horizon was showing them. The quantum anomaly grew stronger, its purpose finally clear. It wasn't just a tear in space-time. It was a key, waiting for the right moment, the right species to unlock humanity's true destiny. We have a choice to make, Sarah announced, looking at each alien commander in turn. We can fight each other, letting fear drive us until we wake something that will destroy everything. Or we can work together, combining your wisdom with our potential, to become what the universe has been waiting for. The horizon's crystalline hull pulsed one final time, its pattern matching the quantum signature of the anomaly perfectly. In that moment, every being watching understood the truth. Humanity's rapid evolution, their adaptability, their endless drive to explore and understand, wasn't random chance. It was purpose, written into their very genes by beings who had fought the Void Hunters eons ago and knew that only a species born of adversity and determination could finish what they had started. The timeline is changing, Diana whispered, her form flickering as new possibilities rippled through reality. They're beginning to understand. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of both history and future pressing down on her shoulders. The next few hours would determine everything. Whether humanity would be seen as a threat to be contained or allies in a war for the very existence of reality itself. The Council ships held their position, their commanders locked in urgent discussion. The horizon waited, its crew ready for whatever came next. They had started this journey as explorers, become pioneers of human evolution, and now stood ready to take their place as defenders of all existence. The future hung in the balance, waiting for the Council's response. But for the first time since the Void Hunters were discovered, hope began to spread through the galaxy. Sometimes the greatest threats bring the most unlikely allies together, and in the space between stars, humanity's destiny was about to be rewritten. The Council's decision came not with words, but with action. One by one, the alien ships began to power down their weapons. The ethereal commander of the lead vessel, who had introduced himself as First Speaker Lyrian, materialized aboard the Horizon's bridge in a shimmer of translucent energy. In 10,000 years of watching younger races, Lyrian said, his form rippling with colors that reflected his emotional state, we have never been so thoroughly surprised. His eyes, points of intense light in his ethereal form, studied the crystalline technology that now merged seamlessly with the human vessel. We thought we were protecting the galaxy by containing such power. We never considered that we might be preventing its salvation. Sarah stood before the alien leader, the crystalline implants beneath her skin pulsing in harmony with the ship's systems. Through her enhanced perception, she could sense the quantum anomaly growing stronger, its purpose becoming clearer with each passing moment. How long until the crucible's containment fails completely? Lyrian's form darkened slightly, a sign of grave concern. Ours, perhaps. The Void Hunters are more active than we've ever seen them. It's as if they know what's coming. They do, Diana interjected, her temporal form shifting between moments as the timeline continued to flux around them. In every possible future where they break free, their first targets are always the same. They seek out and destroy any species with the potential to evolve into what humanity is becoming. They're not just predators. They're pruning the galaxy of threats to their existence. The Horizon's enhanced sensors suddenly blared a warning. Marcus's hands flew across his crystalline console, his eyes widening at the readings. Multiple quantum fractures detected around the crucible. The containment field is destabilizing faster than predicted. Sarah felt the ship's systems feeding her information directly through her neural interface. The massive alien structure that held the Void Hunters was becoming visible at the edge of their sensor range, its impossible geometries twisting in ways that hurt to look at. Dark energy poured from growing cracks in its surface, and something vast and hungry was stirring within. "We need to evacuate the Crucible's research staff immediately," Sarah commanded, the Horizon systems already calculating rescue trajectories. "First speaker, can you coordinate with your fleet?" Lyrian nodded, his form pulsing with urgent patterns. "Already done. But Lieutenant Chen, you should know. There's something else contained within the Crucible. Something we discovered alongside the first Hunter, but could never understand. We called it the Keystone." New data flowed through the ship's crystalline network as the Council ships shared their most closely guarded secrets. The Keystone was a device left behind by the same ancient race that had encoded humanity's potential into their genes. Its purpose had baffled the Council's scientists for millennia. Until now. "The quantum signature," Marcus said suddenly, looking up from his readings. "It matches perfectly with our enhanced systems. The Keystone wasn't meant for the Council to use. It was meant for us, for what we're becoming." The Crucible shuddered visibly now, dark energy cascading from its rupturing surface. The Council ships moved in precise formation, evacuating research staff and essential equipment. Through it all, Sarah could feel something calling to her through the quantum link, a purpose that had waited thousands of years to be fulfilled. "Diana," she said, turning to their temporal ally, "you knew about this, didn't you? This was always how it had to happen." Diana's form stabilized momentarily, her expression both sad and proud. "In every timeline where humanity survives, where the Void Hunters are defeated, it begins here. With this choice, the Keystone will complete your transformation, turn you and your crew into what the ancient Guardians intended humanity to become. But the price," she hesitated, "the price is that you'll never be able to return to what you were. You'll be the first of a new kind of human, the bridge between what we are and what we must become." Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she felt in her heart. Through their shared neural link, she could feel their thoughts, their fears, and their resolve. They had come too far to turn back now. "First speaker," she said, turning to Lyrian, "I need your fleet to hold back the Hunters when they break free. Give us time to reach the Keystone. After that," she smiled slightly, "after that, you'll see exactly why the ancient Guardians chose humanity for this role." The ethereal commander's form brightened with what could only be described as respect. "For 10,000 years, we thought we were the guardians of this galaxy. Perhaps it's time we learned to be its students instead." The Horizon's crystalline hull pulsed with power as Sarah initiated their approach to the failing Crucible. Through the neural link, every crew member knew their role, understood exactly what needed to be done. The quantum anomaly they had been tracking seemed to respond to their presence, its energy patterns shifting to match their enhanced signatures. "Time to containment failure?" Sarah asked, though she could feel the answer through the ship's systems. 17 minutes, Marcus reported. "The Hunters will be free before we can reach the Keystone." Sarah nodded, watching as space itself seemed to darken around the Crucible. "Then we'll have to show them exactly what humanity can do when the fate of everything hangs in the balance." The final battle for reality itself was about to begin, and at its heart, a crew of transformed humans prepared to fulfill a destiny written in their genes before their species had even learned to walk upright. The horizon surged forward, its crystalline systems singing with power, ready to face the darkness that had haunted the galaxy's dreams for eons. The future wasn't just changing anymore, it was about to be reborn. Darkness poured from the crucible like liquid night, forming shapes that defied comprehension. The Void Hunters were awakening, their ancient hunger unleashed after millennia of containment. Through the horizon's enhanced sensors, Sarah Chen watched as reality itself seemed to tear around these cosmic predators. Multiple breaches detected. Marcus called out, his voice steady despite the horror unfolding before them. The Council fleet is engaging, but their weapons are having minimal effect. The alien ships fought with everything they had, their most advanced technology barely slowing the Hunters' advance. These beings weren't just powerful, they were antithetical to existence itself, gaps in reality that consumed everything they touched. Time to Keystone Intercept, Sarah asked, feeling the ship's systems responding to her thoughts with increasing harmony. The crystalline technology had spread throughout the horizon's hull, transforming it into something that straddled the line between present and future. 3 minutes, Diana replied, her temporal form becoming more stable as they approached their destiny. But the Hunters will reach us first. They can sense what we're becoming. They'll try to stop us. Sarah nodded, watching as the vast dark shapes turned their attention toward the horizon. Through their enhanced perception, she and her crew could feel the Hunters' ancient malevolence, their singular drive to consume anything that might threaten their dominion over space and time. All hands, she commanded, her voice carrying through the neural link that connected the entire crew. Prepare for temporal combat. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. The horizon's crystalline systems surged with power as the first Hunter attacked. It was massive, a wound in space-time that moved with impossible speed. But the ship's new capabilities, merged with its crew's enhanced consciousness, allowed them to track the creature across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Quantum weapons online, Marcus reported, his hands dancing across controls that responded to thought as much as touch. Targeting solutions calculated across 7 temporal planes. Fire. The horizon's response wasn't just a weapon discharge, it was a rejection of the Hunter's very nature. Beams of crystalline energy struck the creature from angles that shouldn't exist, their power amplified by the quantum anomaly that had led them here. The Hunter recoiled, its darkness fragmenting across multiple timelines. But more were coming. The Council fleet is falling back, Diana announced, watching as the alien ships retreated in perfect formation. They've given us all the time they can. Through the neural link, Sarah could feel her crew's determination, their fear transformed into focused resolve. They had trained for this moment, their bodies and minds enhanced by technology from humanity's future. But more than that, they carried within them the legacy of the ancient guardians, beings who had faced the Hunters eons ago and planted the seeds of their eventual defeat in humanity's very DNA. We're approaching the Keystone Chamber, Marcus reported. But the Hunters are converging from all directions. We won't survive another direct engagement. Sarah smiled, feeling the ship's systems resonating with a plan that seemed to come from somewhere beyond conscious thought. We're not supposed to fight them. We're supposed to show them what they fear most. With a thought, she activated the horizon's most extraordinary capability, one that even Diana hadn't known about. The crystalline hull began to pulse with patterns that matched the quantum signature of human DNA itself, broadcasting across all frequencies, all timelines, a message written in the language of evolution itself. The Hunters hesitated, their darkness swirling in confused patterns. Through the neural link, Sarah spoke to her crew. Together, show them what humanity becomes. Every crystalline implant, every enhanced neural pathway, every piece of future technology they had integrated with lit up at once. The horizon became a beacon, not of light, but of potential. broadcasting the full scope of humanity's possible evolution across space and time. And the hunters reacted with terror. "The Keystone Chamber," Diana whispered, watching as the ancient device responded to their presence. "It's activating." The device that the Council had never understood began to pulse in harmony with the Horizon's broadcast. Quantum energy cascaded through space, forming patterns that perfectly matched the encoded potential in human DNA. In that moment, Sarah understood what the ancient guardians had planned. "The hunters don't feed on reality," she said, the knowledge flowing through her enhanced consciousness. "They feed on possibility, on potential. That's why they fear us so much, because humanity's potential is infinite." The Keystone's energy merged with the Horizon systems, completing the transformation that had begun when they first encountered the Nexus. Sarah felt her consciousness expanding, connecting not just with her crew, but with all of humanity's possible futures. Through those connections, she could see what the ancient guardians had known: that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their adaptability, but their capacity for endless reinvention. "We are what you fear," Sarah broadcast to the hunters, her voice carrying across dimensions. "Not because of what we are, but because of what we can become, what we will become, what we have always been becoming." The hunters tried to retreat, but the Keystone's power, amplified by the Horizon's transformed systems and its evolved crew, had created a quantum cage. These beings that had terrorized the galaxy for eons found themselves trapped by the very potential they had sought to destroy. "Now," Sarah commanded, and every member of her crew focused their enhanced consciousness through the ship's systems. The Keystone responded, its ancient purpose finally fulfilled. Reality itself seemed to flex around them as humanity's encoded potential was unleashed not as a weapon, but as a transformation. The hunters weren't destroyed. They were changed. Their darkness was transformed into something new, their hunger for possibility reshaped into a drive to create rather than consume. The ancient guardians hadn't built a weapon. They had designed a conversion, waiting for a species with enough potential to power it. In the aftermath, as the Council fleet returned to witness what humanity had become, Sarah stood on the Horizon's bridge, feeling the changes rippling through space and time. Her crew, her ship, even the transformed hunters, all were part of something greater now, a new chapter in the galaxy's evolution. "What happens now?" she asked Diana, watching as the temporal officer's form began to fade. "Now," Diana smiled as she disappeared. "Now you get to write the future, all of them." The Horizon hung in space, its crystalline hull pulsing with possibilities yet to come. Humanity had taken its first step beyond what any species had imagined possible, becoming not just guardians of reality, but shepherds of potential itself. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the ancient guardian's final message played out in patterns of quantum energy. "Welcome, children. The universe has been waiting for you." The future wasn't just changed, it was set free. And humanity would lead the way into whatever wonders it might hold.